This is from CBSSports.com. Projected cap space and team needs for each and every one of them. So they project the Browns' cap space to be $13,534,000 and change over the cap, but we all know that will be renegotiated and they'll be able to do whatever they need to do. Team needs, they say, defensive tackle first, wide receiver, and then offensive tackle. We'll get to that in a minute. Browns could use an upgrade at wide receiver, but will have to clear some cap space this offseason to do so. Consistent number 2 option will help out Deshaun Watson, whose hefty contract significantly kicks in this year. They'll need help on the defensive line as well. So welcome in Ashley Bastock, Browns beat reporter from the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Ashley, if you're talking long-term, I can understand the offensive tackle. Short-term, defensive tackle, wide receiver, and defensive end, edge, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, those have to be fixed for the Browns to do what they think they can do.
Yeah, my first thought when I saw that was, offensive tackle over edge rusher. That's interesting because, once again, last year or this past season, when it comes to rushing quarterbacks, it was Myles Garrett and everybody else. He had 16 sacks. The next highest sack getter on this roster was Taven Bryan with only 2. I think they really needed more production like they got in 2021, where they got 9 sacks out of Jadeveon Clowney. Takk McKinley was a great rotational piece that also came in there and was pretty disruptive. They just didn't have the same thing this past season. And I think when you have a guy like Myles Garrett, you need another strong threat to help draw attention away from him. So I do think at offensive tackle, they just locked up Jack Conklin. If he can stay healthy, great. I mean, I think he's obviously so good. He's an all-pro kind of guy. Jed Wills is obviously, I think, still a little bit of a question mark and what they're going to do with him and that 5th-year option, and is he going to get an extension here? So that is interesting. But like you said, I think it's more of a longer-term thing. Jed Wills is going to be here this next season. So it's really, for me, more important, I think, to find another guy off the edge that can really be disruptive in a Jim Schwartz defense.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Myles Garrett getting 16 sacks and the defensive quarterbacks are stepping up into where a defensive tackle should be. That just, it kind of further illustrates how bad, for lack of a better term, the defensive tackle play was, because quarterbacks are stepping up to avoid Garrett, and it should be right into the arms of a defensive tackle if he's winning his one-on-one matchup.
Yeah, it's almost like Myles Garrett is making those plays for those guys by extension of what he does. So it's true, like they just need more help, I think, on that line. Overall, the numbers were not good. We know their defensive tackles ranked really low across the league. I'm talking like Taven Bryan was, I think, 72 in defensive grade on PFF. Then you got to go to the 130s to find like Jordan Elliott, Perion Winfrey, those guys. So it just was not a good year. And on top of not having quarterback, disruption from your other ends, it's really brutal. Alex Wright, he, I thought, had a decent rookie year for where they got him. He was great at batting down passes, but he wasn't good at getting sacks. He had no sacks, I think like 12 total pressures or something like that. So he wasn't really disruptive in that way. I think he needs to take another step. And then on top of that, you got to find somebody else who can get to quarterbacks.